Yeah.
So I think it just comes down to like doing like smaller retainers to start. And then as you start to build those up, you start increasing your price like a stock goes up in value,
Yeah.
you know? But when you do say your price, even when you get to a point where you have a ton of results and you have a ton of social proof case studies, you're always going to have people who are like, that's too expensive or that's too
Right.
much, right? And at that point, you just have to be like, okay, that's fine. I know I don't serve the lower subset of this market. I know I only serve the higher, like I'm more of a premium solution. And there's no,
Yeah.
something that I've always like, something I've learned over the past couple of years is like it doesn't really matter how much you charge as long as you have clients that are willing to pay it, and you would rather be the highest in the market or one of the highest once you have results than be in the middle, because there's no
Race to the
advantage to being
bottom.
like the bottom. Well, there's an advantage to being the
Yeah.
bottom because you're the cheapest in the market. Like you can undercut other markets by doing that, but there's no advantage to being in that middle ground, because like when you're in that middle ground, you're just, you kind of look like
You
everybody
cost
else.
more and you're not as good in theory.
Exactly. So like
Yeah.
you're in this weird place where like you have other people who are like, oh well, he's like, he's 3,000 a month. You're like 3,500 a month. Like you guys are probably the same. This is what the consumer's thinking. You guys are probably the
Yeah.
same. So like, I'm just gonna kind of go with the lowest, right? And then you're
Yeah.
in this undercut battle where you're like, well, I can go 2,900. He can go 2,800, and we can go. And then you just like get into this weird place where you just get into this race to the bottom. But that's also where having the unique mechanism is super important, because when you have a unique mechanism, they can't compare you to other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Calling it something specific.
Yeah, exactly. And then with like the being the highest, people associate just like physically, just because your price is higher. A lot of times people are like, oh, that must be better. You look at Amazon, you're like, there's one lamp that's $10. Another one is like $1,000. You're like, wow, this $1,000 one must be better because it's more expensive. So like that plays
Yeah.
into it as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's good.